They say family never abandons you. That blood is thicker than water. But I learned the hard way that sometimes the very people who share your blood will treat you like a burden to be tossed aside. My name is Evelyn Grace. But you can call me Evelyn. Everyone here does. I'm 73 years old, and if you have a few minutes, I want to tell you the story of how my own children sent me away to a nursing home like I was yesterday's laundry, and how, against all odds, I found someone here who changed my life in ways I never thought possible. But let me warn you, this isn't a pretty story. It's the kind that will make you shake your head, maybe even make you angry. Still, I promise you, if you stay until the end, you'll see why I believe life has a way of surprising us, even in our darkest hours. Now, before I go on, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible? Like the people you sacrificed everything for just stop seeing you? If you have, tell me in the comments where you're from. I want to know how far this story travels, because I don't want anyone out there to feel alone the way I did. And please, give this video a like and subscribe if you can. Every click, every comment gives me the strength to keep telling the stories most people sweep under the rug. Because my life, well, it wasn't supposed to end this way. I was born in 1950, right here in Ohio, back when a woman's worth was measured by how well she cooked a casserole or kept the laundry folded. I married young, had 3 children, and spent most of my life pouring myself into them. Scrubbing floors, packing lunches, clapping the loudest at their school plays. And when my husband Richard passed away 15 years ago, I thought, at least I still have my children. But children grow. They move on. They build lives where their parents are just shadows in the background. At first I didn't mind. I told myself that's how it's supposed to be. But as the years passed, those Sunday visits turned into occasional phone calls. The phone calls turned into text messages. And then, one day, even the texts stopped, until last year. That was the day they decided what to do with me. It was a hot afternoon in June. I'd just finished watering the little rose bushes Richard planted before he died. The phone rang. My daughter Susan's voice, sharp as a knife. "Mom," she said, "we need to talk." Her brothers were there too. I could hear their voices in the background. All 3 of them united in a way they hadn't been in years. But it wasn't love that united them, it was logistics. "Mom," Susan continued, "we can't keep worrying about you living alone. The stairs, the bills, the house, it's too much. We've decided it's best if you move into Maplewood Nursing Home. We've decided." As if I didn't get a say in my own life. I tried to argue. My voice trembled. I'm not helpless. I can still cook, still drive to church on Sundays. I'm not ready for that place. But they'd made up their minds. In their eyes, I wasn't a mother anymore. I was a responsibility, a box to be checked off. 3 weeks later, they packed up my house. I watched strangers haul away furniture Richard built with his own hands. I watched my wedding photos disappear into cardboard boxes. And then they drove me to Maplewood, the home. A place that smelled of disinfectant and loss. Walking in, I felt smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. The halls echoed with coughs and shuffling feet. Wheelchairs lined the walls like abandoned toys. I thought, so this is it. This is where I'll fade away. The first nights were the hardest. I'd lie in that narrow bed, listening to the hum of fluorescent lights, the muffled cries of confused residents down the hall, and I would think, this is how they've chosen to end my story. Loneliness is a cruel thing. It eats at you, makes you question your worth, and for weeks I did just that. Until one morning in the dining hall I noticed a man sitting by himself near the window. Tall silver hair, posture straight despite his age. He wasn't staring into space like the others. He was sketching. A little notebook on the table, pencil moving across the page like magic. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was the way the sunlight caught the edge of his glasses. Maybe it was the hunger in me for any human connection. But I walked over and asked, "What are you drawing?" He looked up at me with the kindest green eyes I'd ever seen. "A tree," he said softly. "The one outside this window. Reminds me of the oak that used to stand in my backyard." Then he tilted the notebook so I could see, and my breath caught. Because it wasn't just a tree. It was life, the kind of drawing that carried memory, longing, love. His name was Thomas, and that morning, sitting across from him at a sticky Maplewood dining table, something inside me cracked open. At first, it was just conversation. We talked about little things, books we'd read, the food we missed from home, the way the nurses always mixed up our laundry. But soon the conversations deepened. He told me about his late wife, Ellen, how she'd been his high school sweetheart. I told him about Richard, about the roses in our garden. Two souls comparing scars. And little by little the loneliness started to fade. One afternoon we sat in the courtyard. The air smelled of cut grass, and the sound of children from the daycare next door floated over the fence. "Funny," Thomas said. "I thought life ended when I came here. But now," he paused, smiled. "Now I'm not so sure. That smile, it did something to me. It reminded me I was still a woman, still alive, still capable of laughter, of joy, of love. And let me tell you, falling in love at 73 feels different. It's not fireworks or grand gestures. It's quiet, steady, like two rivers finally meeting after a long, winding journey." We held hands in the hallway. We whispered goodnight after bingo. And when he sketched me in his notebook, lines soft, eyes kind, I cried. Because for the first time in years, someone saw me, really saw me, but of course the children didn't approve. When Susan visited and saw us sitting together, her mouth twisted. "Mom," she hissed, "this is inappropriate. You're here to be cared for, not to play house." But I didn't care. For once, I wasn't living for them. I was living for me. Thomas and I became each other's anchor. When his arthritis flared, I massaged his hands. When I had trouble sleeping, he read aloud, slow, steady, comforting. And every morning he saved me a seat by the window. Now I won't lie to you. Nursing homes are still lonely places. Some days, the weight of abandonment still presses heavy on my chest. But then I remember Thomas's words. Maybe we didn't choose this place. But maybe this place chose us. The storm grew heavier when Peter visited next. He sat stiffly in the visitor lounge, eyes darting everywhere but my face. Finally he blurted, "Mom, this thing with that man, it has to stop. People are talking." "People?" I asked. "Or you?" He swallowed hard. "It's embarrassing. My friends ask how you're doing and I don't know what to say. You're supposed to be, well, resting. Not living?" I cut in. He flushed. "That's not what I mean." But we both knew it was. I leaned forward, my voice low but fierce. "Peter, I gave up everything for you and your siblings. My time, my body, my dreams. And now that I'm old, you want me to sit quietly in a corner until I die. No, I won't do it." He shook his head, muttered something about senility, and left. That night I cried into Thomas's shoulder. "Why can't they just be happy for me?" I whispered. He stroked my hair gently. "Because they don't understand. They see age as an ending. But we've discovered it can also be a beginning." The real turning point came one autumn afternoon. The leaves outside burned orange and gold, the air crisp through the cracked window. Thomas looked at me and said, "Evelyn, will you walk with me?" We shuffled slowly down the hallway, past the nurses, past the other residents. He led me to the little chapel tucked at the end of the building. Dusty hymnals sat on the pews and a faint smell of old wood filled the air. "I used to come here with Ellen," he whispered, "when she was sick, when I was scared. This was our place of courage." Then he turned to me, eyes shining. "I don't know how many years I have left. Neither of us do. But whatever time there is, Evelyn, I want to spend it with you." My heart stuttered. At 73, I thought my days of hearing such words were long gone. But there he was, holding my wrinkled hands like they were treasures. And in that quiet chapel, I said the bravest word I'd spoken in years. Yes. From then on, we no longer whispered our good nights. We said them proudly in the halls. We no longer sat at separate tables in the dining room. We sat side by side, our hands brushing openly. Some residents raised their eyebrows. Some smiled knowingly. The nurses teased us kindly, calling us the Maplewood sweethearts. And for the first time since Richard died, I laughed until my belly ached, but with joy came backlash. Susan returned one Sunday afternoon, her children in tow. She walked in to find me and Thomas in the courtyard, sharing a blanket against the chill, sipping cocoa. "Mom," she said, voice tight, "can we talk inside?" I sighed, kissed Thomas on the cheek, and followed her. Inside the lounge, her face was pale with fury. "This has gone far enough. The staff say you're inseparable. People are talking. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Susan, people always talk. Let them. Their chatter won't shorten or lengthen my days. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her temples. Don't you see? You're ruining your dignity. My voice softened. No, Susan, I'm reclaiming it. For years, I've lived the way everyone expected. Quiet, careful, invisible. Now, for once, I'm living for me. She stared at me, speechless. Her children tugged at her sleeve, wanting to go home. She finally shook her head and muttered, I don't even know who you are anymore. I whispered almost to myself, I'm Evelyn Grace, and maybe for the first time in decades, I know exactly who I am. The confrontation with Susan left a bruise on my heart, but it also freed me. If my children couldn't accept my joy, that was their burden, not mine. Thomas saw the shift in me. You're standing taller, he teased one morning. Careful, you might start intimidating the staff. I grinned. Good. Let them know Evelyn Grace is no longer a ghost in these halls. Winter passed into spring, and with it came little bursts of happiness. We planted flowers in the courtyard garden. Well, Thomas sketched while I crouched with a trowel, dirt under my nails. We attended music nights, clapping off beat to the piano, and one Sunday morning, as sunlight streamed through the chapel windows, Thomas turned to me and whispered, Evelyn, my darling, if I could marry you right here and now, I would. My heart swelled. Then let's pretend we did, I said. And so, with only the dust motes and stained glass colors as witnesses, we promised to spend whatever time we had left together. Of course, the children still hovered. Peter called once, warning me again that this relationship isn't appropriate. I listened in silence, then finally said, Peter, I've listened to you all my life. But now it's time you listen to me. I am happy, and that's all that matters. He sputtered, tried to argue, but I hung up gently, setting down the phone with steady hands. It felt like cutting the last string of guilt that bound me. And here's the truth. The one I want anyone listening to remember. You are never too old to start again. You are never too old to be seen, to be loved, to be cherished. Some people think nursing homes are the end of life's story. But for me, Maplewood was where a new chapter began. Not because my children wanted it, not because society expected it, but because love, unexpected, quiet, and beautiful, bloomed where I least expected it. Thomas and I still sit by that window every morning, watching the tree outside change with the seasons. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we sit in silence, but always, our hands rest together, warm and certain. Do I wish my children understood? Of course. Do I still ache when I think of the day they packed up my house, treating me like a problem to be solved? Yes, that wound will never fully close. But life isn't about perfect endings. It's about the moments in between. The stolen laughter, the hand you hold when the world feels cold, the quiet, stubborn joy of choosing love, no matter your age. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. Truly. Maybe you've felt invisible too. Maybe you've been cast aside, made to feel like your story is finished. But please believe me, if an old woman like me can find new life in the dim halls of a nursing home, then hope exists for you too. Tell me in the comments, have you ever found love or friendship where you least expected it? I'd love to hear your story. And if you haven't yet, hold on. Your next chapter may be just around the corner. And don't forget, like this video, share it, and subscribe. Not for me, but for the message, because maybe someone out there needs to hear that their story isn't over yet. So here I am, Evelyn Grace, mother, widow, castaway, and now beloved companion of a man who saw me when no one else would. My children thought they ended my story by sending me here, but all they did was turn the page to the most surprising, beautiful chapter of all.